FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
The following program is for mature and logical audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win.
What are we waiting for? Take this!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Logically. You're listening to the smooth, liquid candy voice of me, your host, the election integrity enthusiast, Joseph Anthony Corsai. We have a very jam-packed and entertaining episode for you today, but this episode is going to be a little bit different. This episode, we want to hear from you, the voters. We have a full show planned for you, but we want to hear from you, your opinions, everything you have to say. So anything you want to talk about, feel free to call in. The number is 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Aside from some news stories, today we're going to get into our own Thinking Logically interactive electoral map, pick some states. We're going to talk about the final polls and give our predictions. We're also going to spend an entire segment later in this episode talking about what Project 2025 will bring to this country. You're not going to want to miss that one. And we'll also give our take on what to expect in the weeks between Election Day and Inauguration Day, because in my opinion, that's when the action starts. But before we do anything at all, let's introduce our crew. Our producer, diving in here, reaching for a new set of headphones because the last ones went out. Ryan Garazunas. Ryan, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, my man? I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited. I'm anxious. I can't wait for tomorrow.
Did you vote yet?
I did not. Tomorrow, I'll go on the day.
I'm going to check. I'll
check. Check on me. All right.
All right. And hailing from Allegheny County, Mr. Gordy Mark, I know you voted. Are you ready for what's about to happen?
I am ready, Joe. I have war gamed every scenario out in my head. Joe, we started this 2.5 years ago, and we are finally here, Joe. We've been calling it the final battle. This is it. We are here now. We're at the finish line. We're at the goal line, Joe. And we got to put the ball into the end zone tomorrow, and that means MAGA showing up to vote in droves. And if we do that, we get Donald Trump back in the White House. So I'm ready. I can't wait. This is our Super Bowl.
It is our Super Bowl indeed. Like 27 hours and counting. All right. To start the episode, a plane, a candidate, and a message. That's all we have. That's all we've ever had, and that's all we need. We don't need star power. Do we have it? Yes. But do we need it? No. Just a candidate, his message, and a plane to take that candidate places to spread the message. And boy, do a lot of people show up to hear that message all across the country, from the cities to the suburbs. And the movement has grown every year since it started in the summer of 2015. And that takes us to where we are right now today. But let's get into this episode. The first thing I want to talk about before we jump into polls or anything else is what we saw on Saturday night. A woman with no comedic skills at all making an appearance on Saturday Night Live, a show known for its, well, I guess lack of comedy the last few years, but it's comedy. What happened, though, in the days after? What did we see happen yesterday and today? FCC Commissioner Brandon Carr came out and said that Kamala Harris's appearance on SNL was a violation of the equal time rule, which mandates balanced airtime for political candidates. I guess the campaign kept the appearance a secret until a few hours before she was scheduled to go on. According to Brandon Carr, this is his quote, "This is a clear and blatant effort to evade the FCC's equal time rule," Carr wrote. NBC then filed a notice with the FCC disclosing that Kamala Harris appeared on SNL for under 2 minutes without charge. Under federal law, if Donald Trump requests equal time, NBC would be required to give him equal time before the election. So the purpose of this rule is to avoid exactly this type of stuff. Unless the broadcaster offered equal time to other qualifying campaigns. So I believe they did allow Trump to make a statement on something. Obviously, you can't do Saturday Night Live because it's on a Saturday. But again, you just saw a licensed broadcaster using the public airwaves to exert its influence for one candidate on the last weekend of the election over another. Now, under the rule, they have to offer, like I said, free time to the other qualifying campaign. So it's a shame Trump can't go on SNL. Maybe he should after he wins the election next Saturday. So again,
Joe, he gave a message last night on Sunday Night Football. Did you see that?
well, I heard. Okay, so he did give a message on Sunday Night Football. I didn't see it. I didn't watch the whole game. That was it. It was 2 minutes, and I guess that's okay, right?
It was a 90-second message he was able to air because the FCC chairman came out and said, basically called out the Harris campaign and said, you're in violation of that law, and they told Trump, you got 90 seconds on Sunday Night Football to air whatever you want.
Why would he not choose Rachel Maddow's show or something like that to do the 2 minutes or 90 seconds? They should have let him host.
Because no one watches MSNBC.
Who's a good? Well, I don't want to say a good show. Who else is on there besides Rachel Maddow that he could have hosted her show for the first 2 minutes? That would have been fun, man. Oh, that would have been really fun because Kamala Harris technically was a host. Did you watch the SNL episode, Mark?
No.
I mean, I watched the first. She was just for the 2 minutes on there, and I watched the first 10, 15 minutes. It wasn't funny. She did a skit. What is it? Maya Rudolph was looking to the mirror and then Kamala Harris appeared. It's kind of the same skit that Trump did a while back where Trump spoke to himself. She just continuously copies what the other candidate does. Am I wrong?
No, that's exactly. It was a urban copy of Trump's skit from. Well, we hosted SNL before the media turned on him back in 2015 when he was actually popular and well liked by everyone. Before he decided to run for president, he hosted SNL. But now he's Hitler.
Yeah, one of many. He's the next guy to play Hitler. It's like Santa Claus at the company party. Every Republican president has to play Hitler. Okay. So she did SNL. I don't know how it helped her or hurt her. Trump did the Sunday Night Football 90-second ad. I don't see how that could have hurt him, but does it really help him like an SNL appearance would have? Probably not. So again, the media, why would you trust them? They tried to sneak that in last second when there was clearly no other time for Trump to ever go on SNL. The timing, again, Mark, amazing, is it not?
Well, that's the thing, Jerry. You hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, let's sneak her in last second. You know, and that's what they went for. I didn't see a lot of this on X though, so I don't know how much traction her appearance got, but that's not the point. It's the principle, the fact that they snuck her in at the last second when they said they wouldn't do that a few weeks back.
Good point. They did say SNL or NBC, I believe, said they were not. Both maybe were not going to have anyone on. Okay, now here's my issue. Kamala Harris and her campaign must have thought it would help her. That's why they did it. Because Kamala missed a campaign event in Michigan to fly to New York City last minute just to appear on SNL in person, Mark. I want you to remember that in person part. What couldn't she do last week, though, for 2 hours? She couldn't fly to Texas to go on Joe Rogan's show and show up in person for 2 hours. But she could go on SNL where they have an agreement equal and fair, equal time, fair time. And she could go and break that to go on SNL for 2 minutes. But she can't go on Joe Rogan for 2 hours. You know who can go on Joe Rogan for 2 hours, though, Mark? We'll get into this in a minute. John Fetterman was able to sit for 2 hours. Dear Lord. Do you want to...
He's vigorous.
Do you want to comment on anything else on Kamala, SNL, how she just completely lies and the whole Joe Rogan thing was a lie because, again, she canceled a campaign event in Michigan to go on Saturday Night Live. She didn't want to cancel anything to go fly to Texas, where she just was, to go sit with Joe Rogan. Anything else you want to touch up before we get on?
No, well, we know how it would have ended if she went on Rogan. There's no way she would have been able to sit there and talk for 3 hours, so...
No, absolutely not. It would have been terrible. No one watched. Did you watch Fetterman on Rogan?
I did not yet. No, I kind of want to listen to it, though.
Someone messaged me today and said it was very tough to listen to because of him, and I agree a little bit. He wasn't awful, but he needs that closed captioning machine, you know, to be able to speak and talk and understand. all I'll say is it's worth the watch. It's worth, if you could get through it, it's worth it. I think it's just over 2 hours. And he was able to sit for 2 hours with Joe Rogan, and they had a good conversation. I didn't like what they said about the voter fraud. Just watch it. But like, they had a conversation. Kamala couldn't do that, but John Fetterman can. A guy that's half brain dead. That 2 years ago we wrote off as being brain dead. Did we not? He was in a locked room, Mark. He couldn't have his famous Fetterman hoodie strings because he was in a locked psychiatric ward. We're already going.
I mean, he
off
was
the
in
rails.
Walter Reed and came out MAGA. So
He did. Diet MAGA Light.
yeah.
All right, so this is our first segment, and we've covered so many things already. Did you see what Joe Biden said about the Trump Republicans? Republicans like Trump, I think it was. That's how he worded it. Did you hear what he said, the soundbite? I'm not going to play it because it's a swear word, but I should, but I'm not.
If you're asking me if I heard it, yes, I did.
The kind of guys you like to
Very often.
smack in the behind, but not behind. It started with a different vowel. It started with. Why is he doing this? Now you see, he has no campaign events anymore. Mark, they cleared his schedule. He has no campaign events, I think, as of Saturday night. But he comes out and he says this comment. Why? Dear Lord, why? Go to bed.
Well, like we said last episode, Joe, I mean, when you are suffering from some sort of mental cognitive decline when you're in your 80s, the filter goes away.
Dear Lord, it did. But I just don't. He's doing nothing but hurting her by doing these inflammatory comments over and over again. Garbage, and now threatening them. Smack them in the
That's why
behind.
they told him to. Well, they told him thanks but no thanks for the campaign surrogate appearances the last couple of days. I think they are distancing themselves from Joe Biden completely.
Hey,
I mean, wouldn't you?
yeah, we get to see more Tim Walz, I guess, right? He's a little bit more vigorous. Joe Biden's a little bit more vigorous. He's just as goofy, just as dumb. He's just not falling all over the place and flop around like a fish out there on the stage.
Joe, I did see him biting that baby the other day. You were talking about on last week's show.
Nibble,
a little nibble.
Yeah.
I saw that over the week, and I thought, who does that? Who does that?
Creepy old people at family functions and Joe
Right.
Biden. But you're not supposed to do that with someone that's not related to you. It's a little bit creepy.
Exactly.
A little bit creepy, especially with the whole Ashley Biden journal, diary, whatever.
Exactly.
We're not going to get into it. All right, Mark, what were we talking about? Oh, Joe Biden. I'm pulling a Joe Biden moment here. What else do we want to talk about Joe Biden? Anything before we move on to more fake news? Everything I flip on here. More fake news and inflammatory stuff a few days, or now a day before the election. Trump and Liz Cheney, Mark, did you see that one? The Trump-Liz Cheney comments and how the media skewed what he said?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was muted there for a second. Back to Biden real quick.
Good.
If Trump sees, we have an idea that Trump's going to win. Does Biden come out and congratulate him?
Ooh, he kind of has to, doesn't he? Yeah, he kind of has to. That'd be interesting. That'd be very interesting to see.
It would be.
They did not shake hands at his debate, but Kamala and Trump did shake hands. I don't know. I feel like Trump might be rooting for Trump, or Biden might be rooting for Trump here. So, all right. So the Liz Cheney Trump comments. I'm getting a little sick of correcting this, honestly. Trump, I'm going to play the audio. Just give me a second here. Let me explain. Trump was making the point. Let me make my point, and then I'll play the audio for those. So Trump was making the point how some of these people in our government feel if some of the people feel that the ones in our government, maybe if they were the ones going over and fighting and having the barrels of the guns shoved in their faces, they might think a little different. For decades, politicians would send our kids off to war without ever putting themselves in those war zones or in harm's way. And honestly, for Trump to say it, it's a damn good point to make. By the way, we just saw last week, we had a Democratic Senate candidate shoot a reporter, Dick Cheney style. But the media still cares more about words Trump says than an actual reporter that was shot and bleeding by a Democratic Senate candidate. And again, the Trump quote was selectively edited. We're going to play the whole clip right here. Ryan, play that Trump-Liz Cheney clip for our audience.
She's a radical war hawk, Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people. So,
Mark, where did you hear the death threat there? When you hear the whole where is the death threat on Liz Cheney?
I want to read to you some headlines from the mainstream media. This is from Tucker Carlson's morning note, his morning newsletter that I get. These are the headlines from the Washington Post. This is Trump embraces violent rhetoric, suggests Liz Cheney should have guns trained on her face. This is from Reuters. Trump suggests Liz Cheney should face firing squad for her foreign policy stance. And finally, from CNN, Trump says war hawk Liz Cheney should be fired upon in escalation of violent rhetoric against his opponents. Joe, the mainstream media is all in on Kamala. I mean, this is the amount of negative press they have given Trump is staggering. It's staggering. And we're going to see if it works.
This is just dangerous because it's selectively editing, and you're saying a day before the election that Trump is threatening to have former members of Congress shot. Reminder alert, ding, 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 ding. Trump was the one that was shot at once, and then it happened almost again. And then supposedly, I don't think that the third one was true, but supposedly it almost happened again after that. So, look, we could do this all day. They tried it the next day with the rally when Trump said about the bulletproof glass. There's glass here, there's glass there, but there's no glass here. Shoot me through the news media or something, he said. Do I need to play the comment, the audio of the person on CNN or MSNBC suggesting that they need to put a bullet in Donald Trump? And that was over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. We played it on this show before. I could dig it up and I could find it again, along with a nice compilation of people saying how Donald Trump needs to be killed, shot, murdered, removed from office. Tons of things that could be viewed as inflammatory or threatening. Right, Mark?
Joe, what about Barack Hussein Obama last night, parroting the Fine People hoax? Again, a former president at a rally last night for Kamala Harris, lying about the Fine People hoax a day or two before the election. Truly amazing.
No, it's amazing. It's not surprising. It shouldn't surprise. At this point, it should not surprise you at all. It should be expected. No. All right. Anything before we go to a break and talk about polls?
Talk some polls when we come back.
All right. Okay. So after the break, we're going to be talking polls and predictions. Will we be waiting days or weeks to know the results of this election? Or will this be such a landslide victory for Trump that we will know the results on the first night? Stay tuned. You're listening to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM WBVP. You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
Building a future, sharing a dream, working together, we're on the same team.
The two biggest shopping days are right around the corner, but will you be ready? Black Friday is November 29th, and Cyber Monday is December 2nd. But the date that you need to remember the most is the one that you'll have with the loan department at Freedom United Federal Credit Union. If you want your pockets to really jingle with the sound of cash before those big shopping days, come see Freedom United about their loan special. 12-month holiday loans with rates as low as, get this, 7.49% with approved credit. So what do you say? Shall we make it a shopping date? Click freedomunitedfcu.com. It's the place where the interest is in you. Member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Your success is our success. We belong to you.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logic here on 99.3 FM WBVP. The first segment, we were talking about all the news that happened since last episode. Kamala's appearance on SNL, Trump's calling for Liz Cheney to be shot with a firing squad, the fake news that surrounded that. And now we're getting to this we're getting to some polls here. So we're going to start with the Seltzer poll. Alka-Seltzer I don't even know how to say it. So I'm just going to read the headline. Iowa poll. Kamala Harris leapfrogged Donald Trump to take lead near Election Day. Here's how. And it says the nationally recognized Iowa poll shows Kamala Harris picking up support from women to surpass Donald Trump in a ruby red state that he won twice in Iowa. Okay. Mark, before I get to you, I just want to read two headlines because you read some headlines. So the first one is from The Cut. It's I don't know what kind of outlet this is, but who is Ann Selzer and why am I hanging my sanity on her? Shows you how these people are coming up into an election. And then from The Independent, Selzer's surprise, why the real reckoning may finally be here for Donald Trump. Mark, what are we to make of this Selzer poll?
Well, she is the most accurate pollster, one of the most accurate pollsters in the country. I don't know what to make of it, Joe. I have a hard time believing that they go from Trump up 10 to suddenly down 3. I don't know what to make of it, Joe. If this is accurate, then we are in the deepest of trouble tomorrow, especially across the Midwest. I just don't. I don't know if I buy this, though. This came out of left field. I mean, there was nothing that suggested that this was even going to be close in Iowa. Maybe it's going to be closer than 10, but to say that she's up 3 in Iowa is a shocker. So I think this had everyone kind of hitting the panic button last night when this dropped at some point last night. So I don't know. I guess we're going to find out tomorrow.
Now, I looked a little bit into the poll. I think it was around... First of all, everyone wants to remind us that this is the poll that set off alarm bells in 2016, that shot across about the ballot, Hillary Clinton, blah, blah, blah. But what it was intended to do was to tell Hillary supporters that this election is closer than you think back in 2016. Don't stay at home, get out there and vote. I think they polled 70% women. We have a caller. Before we get back to this poll, Trump didn't go from plus 12 to minus 3 in a week or two. Off what news? Give me a break. Do we have a caller? Okay, caller. Bill.
Yes. Hello.
How are you, Bill?
Isn't there a scripture in the Bible? I believe it was Moses' brother Aaron. God told him to sacrifice the lamb and take the blood and put it on the right ear. That would be a sign from God that Trump will win the election.
Because he got shot in the ear? And his ear was bleeding?
I could barely hear you.
I said because he was shot in the ear and his ear was bleeding? Are you talking about the similarities between that?
Yes, because he was shot in the ear, and a scripture in the Bible says, sacrifice the lamb and take the lamb's blood and put it on your right ear. So,
no, I'm a very spiritual person, I guess you could say. I don't think Trump. Obviously, I don't think Trump is God or anything like that. I don't think Trump is anything like that. But are you implying that you think it's possible that Trump has the, and I don't want to say the endorsement of God, but it is election season, of Jesus. But would he be Jesus' candidate? Do you think?
Yes, I do believe he's Jesus' candidate.
Now, have you voted yet, Bill?
I'm going tomorrow.
You're going tomorrow in person. Dumb question, maybe. Who are you going to vote for?
Donald Trump.
And why are you voting for Donald Trump and not the other side?
To save our country.
To save our country. It's very important. I didn't hear you mention abortion or women's rights or anything. It's to save our country.
Oh, abortion. I used to be a Democrat. Then when I heard talk radio, especially Rush Limbaugh, I loved him. And I'm Catholic. And I am so against abortion. That's what made me switch parties 40 years ago. And I'll never. I vote straight Republican down the line. I'll never vote for a Democrat. Never.
Well, I'm glad that you're a former Democrat that's now voting Republican, because when they try to tell us fake news that all Republicans broke away from Trump finally and are now voting for Kamala Harris, we know that is Bush League. So, Bill, I thank you very much for your call. Anything else you want to get off your chest to talk about?
No, I think that's just about does it.
Okay. And what's your prediction for tomorrow?
Trump all the way.
There you go, buddy. Make America great again. Thanks, Bill. Thank you for your call.
God bless you.
God bless you too, sir.
God bless America.
God bless America. I actually did hear a lot of things on Twitter and social media when Trump did get shot in the ear. That's how you know that he is anointed. I don't want to say that word, but people can believe whatever they want, but it is kind of weird. You get shot in the ear, an ear only, and you can either believe, hey, divine intervention, or it was all staged. Take your pick.
It wasn't in the knee. It wasn't in the side.
No, the ear.
Ear.
All right, Mark. So the Seltzer poll. We're just going to write this off completely. There's no way Trump went from minus 15 points in a week or two off of no news at all. There's no Puerto Ricans that could be offended by a stand-up comics joke in Iowa, right?
No. I mean, Joe, I don't know. What do you think about this?
No. I want to move on to the Atlas poll and other polls and Trump early voting data because...
Okay, then why do you think she has Kamala up 3 in Iowa?
If you want my honest opinion, and I'm getting really deep into the conspiracy, if this poll comes out by a reputable person and then all of a sudden Trump has a blowout in every state and wins a blue state that he shouldn't, like Biden did in 2020, they're going to claim that the results cannot be correct because of polling. Look at the polls. How? Kamala was almost winning Iowa. Watch.
Joe, so my question is, would this woman, Ann Seltzer, who's considered to be one of the most reputable pollsters in the country, put a reputation on the line by fabricating a fake poll to give Kamala Harris some hope going into Election Day? Is this a voter suppression? Is this a MAGA voter suppression poll?
Yes, but she's 80-some years old, I think. What does she care about her future? This might have been her last paycheck to just go out and put this poll out and you're done. What does she care? Probably nothing.
Yeah. Let's find out.
All right. We got the Atlas poll next here.
Atlas Intel, yeah, we talked about some of these on Monday's show, or I'm sorry, last Thursday's show. Atlas Intel. So people send me polls all the time. We get Fox polls sent to me, NBC, you name it. And I'm like, listen, I'm only looking at 2 polls, and you could say I'm cherry picking, but I'm not. I'm going by the most accurate pollster from the 2020 election. That's Atlas Intel. Joe, do you want to read some of these states here?
Yeah, hold on. Let me get the. All right, so Atlas Intel poll. Arizona, Trump +6. North Carolina, Trump +3. Georgia, Trump +2. Nevada, Trump +5. Michigan, Trump +2. Michigan, Trump +2. Wisconsin, Trump +1. PA +2. I'm sorry, I skipped over that one.
So there's the other poll that I always look at. And that's
Mark, hold on. We got another caller. Is this Dawn? Who we thought was in?
Dawn.
We thought you were in the re-education camp, or you turned code on us or something. We didn't hear the last couple episodes.
Actually, I was going to do my laundry and clean my little modest domicile, but I figured since I'm going to the re-education camp, the landlord can clean up my dirty socks and he can rent to a Joe Biden supporter.
There you go.
You know what? Mike Tyson said one time, everybody has a plan until they get hit. And if you get hit by Mike Tyson, I'm sure that's true. You guys are talking a lot of misinformation. All you politicos act real tough until you're on your way to the re-education camp, right?
That's right. That's right.
You got your will done and everything. When we went TDY in the military, we had to draw up a will at base legal before we went. Are you going to give all your worldly possessions to Liz Cheney or something like that?
Well, after 4 years of this Biden administration and policies, I don't have much left here, Don.
You know what? You know what? That's true. Oh, my goodness. How do you think it's going to go tomorrow?
If you want my honest opinion, we're going to get to this later in the episode. I don't want to catch excitement and
you don't want to give it away.
No. I'll tell you. I think it's going to be a landslide for Trump, and I think they're going to try to just deny this for as long as possible and not give him the victory on election night. I really think it's possible that by Wednesday morning it might be obvious that Trump is going to be president. But remember, they only need to cheat in 3 states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. That's the blue wall. If she wins those 3 states, it's going to be very, 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 very hard for Trump to win. It's not impossible, but it's going to be hard.
Now, instead of me trying to be a comedian, if we snatch the Senate away from their hands and the House of Representatives, they can still block a lot of what she wants to do, right?
Yeah, but it's not going to matter because there's so many rhinos in the Senate still. We need, honestly, a red wave so we could get the House and the Senate, and we could snuff out these Republicans, these rhinos in the Senate especially. You'll know within the first 5 votes on the floor who's a rhino and who's legitimately America first with Trump. Does that make sense?
Oh, you're right. The Mitt Romneys of the world, right?
Correct. And I voted for Mitt Romney, and I was kind of like excited about it. And he is garbage. Can we use that word?
Yeah, you can use the word garbage with him because rich and powerful people like Mitt Romney and Bruce Springsteen are pretty much immune to street crime and garbage like that. If they had any they have cojones. Don't you worry about that. They're taking
Bruce Springsteen.
The Bruce Lee quote where he said, "Water finds the easiest route. Be water, my friend."
Yes, I do.
They're just taking the easy way out, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Well, be careful because they might accuse you of threatening suicide or something by saying take the. They always misconstrue your words.
Oh no, you can't say anything anymore, can you?
No, you can't. No, you can't at all. You can't. You got to be careful. Only they can say it. Just like the people. We need to put a bullet through Donald Trump. Need to put a bullet. I heard it on MSNBC or CNN in 2022 or 2023, but Trump can't say anything at all about Liz Cheney being the one to be boots on the ground first.
I read that left-wing rag, the Pittsburgh Tribune Review today. Everything he says is totally twisted around.
Yeah, that's why. Again, when he becomes president, he needs to throw these news organizations out. Maybe hire us. Maybe give us a press pass. We would love it.
Indeed. Hey, take care.
Hey, Don, take care. God bless.
Hey, Don.
Good luck.
Other side, Don.
All right, Mark. Let's do these last 2 or 3 polls here. The early voting, Trump data, ABC Atlas, and then we're going to go to a commercial and then come back with the electoral interactive map.
Yeah. So the other one here is Rasmussen. I've been all in on Rasmussen now. You could say I'm cherry picking when I talk about Rasmussen, but they've been all in. They've been saying this is going to be a landslide for Trump since for weeks now, and they've shown Trump with a steady lead in their daily tracker and all of the polling. So you talk about them, you talk about Atlas Intel, and now we saw one, Joe, ABC came out with a poll. 538 as well. Trump 53-46. What are those odds on winning? I believe, and they are forecasting Trump to get 287 electoral votes with no toss-up states. Harris 251. That's it. Again, that's ABC. So we could talk about the polls. We could talk about Atlas Intel. We could talk about Nate Silver and all this stuff. But the real idea of how this is going to go lies in the data that is coming out of these states. Joe, from Johnny Maga on X, I saw this earlier. I believe the Trump campaign put this out. Now, this is not cherry picking. This is actual data that they've retrieved. Arizona, Joe. This is compared to 2020. Urban turnout, down 385,000 votes. Female turnout, down 170,000 votes. Rural turnout up 14,000 votes. Now, let's put that into context. Arizona has shifted to the right politically as well since then. Georgia, urban turnout down 154,000 votes. Female turnout down 47,000 votes. Rural turnout up 172,000 votes compared to this point in 2020. Michigan, urban turnout down 321,000 votes. Female turnout down 205,000 votes. Rural turnout up 56,000 votes. Why do we say the rural turnout? Because that is where Trump's base lies. North Carolina, urban turnout down 175,000 votes compared to this point in 2020. Female turnout down 154,000. Nevada, urban turnout down 191,000. Female turnout down 126,000. Why are they talking about females in this poll and this data? Because females are the ones driving Kamala Harris. Pennsylvania, urban turnout down 381,000 votes compared to 2020. Female turnout down 450,000 votes. The firewall in Pennsylvania, they had a 1.1 million vote advantage going to Election Day in 2020. Their advantage right now is like 400 and some thousand. Almost every county in Pennsylvania has shifted to the right. Almost every single one. And then finally, Wisconsin, urban turnout is down 101,000 compared to 2020, and the female vote is down 238,000 compared to 2020. So you add all this stuff up, Joe. What do you make of it?
Trump landslide. Honestly, if 2020 never happened, there'd be no questions asked. This would be written off already. You wouldn't even be able to gamble on it because it'd be that obvious.
Yeah.
If these numbers are accurate.
I'm sure they're accurate. These are pulled from state databases that they are, I think, required to publish. So we'll get into predictions later, but this is, I would rather be Trump right now than Kamala Harris based on this data.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to do the interactive map when we come back. We're going to take a break now, but like I said, when we come back, we're going to pick states. Hang on. We're coming right back. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
The place for news, sports, and entertainment. You're listening to Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, coming to you live from the all-new Fry Transportation Studios.
Tune in to Driving in the Fast Lane with Frank Sparks on 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, Monday through Friday from 6:30 to 9 a.m. Frank will talk about what's happening in the news, locally, regionally, and nationally. There's also music to get you started for the day. The show is brought to you by Patriot Home Care. So set your radio dial to 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. We're streamed live on BeaverCountyRadio.com, so you can listen every morning on Beaver County Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back. It's that time, the Thinking Logically Electoral Interactive Map. So, before we get started, I'll bet you, if you're listening now, you probably know 0 people that voted for Trump in 2016 or 20 that are voting for Kamala in 2024. At the same time, I'll bet you at least know 1 person who voted for Hillary or Joe Biden in 2016 or 2020, but are now voting for Trump in 2024. So, keep that in the back of your mind. Now, what to look for on Election Day? I always look for places that have inclement weather, storms, cold temperatures, etc. It's places like that where enthusiasm matters most, especially in the swing states. Now, my prediction, if there is no cheating, expect these states to be the ones that are actually the swing states and maybe be close and possibly go for Trump, again, if it is a true landslide. So I think he wins all the swing states, every single one. And then I think the true swing states are going to be Virginia, New Hampshire, possibly even states like Maine and New Mexico. Mark, we're probably not going to know this election night, but just why is it the swing states that take forever to count every year?
That's a great question, Joe. I just sent you something that said, somebody from Nevada said that it's going to take days, plural, days, to count Nevada? Why? There aren't that many people in Nevada. Countries can count their votes and have them done in one night. And we're hearing from Nevada that this could take days. We just heard somebody from Arizona, just saw something on X, that Arizona said that this is going to take multiple days. Talked to a Politico today from Pennsylvania, and they think Pennsylvania is going to be done probably on Thursday, Joe. But you see why the Republicans have been pushing for early voting and mail-in voting? It's called math. And the more we have banked, the less they can cheat, all right? The less room for cheating. We know how many ballots have been requested. We know how many people are left to vote. So add the math up. But sit here and say this is going to take days is a joke. It's a joke.
Let's go through the swing states. Now, we'll start off with Arizona. Now, Arizona makes me the most nervous, I think, because if he loses Arizona, it's over. And Arizona has I don't think you have to show ID in Arizona to vote. Am I wrong there? I'm pretty sure you don't have to show.
You don't.
Okay, so there. Now, why am I afraid Donald Trump's going to lose Arizona, or could lose Arizona, I should say? Because you don't have to show ID to vote, and it's a border state? That's my reasoning. Let's just go through the 7. We'll start with Arizona. Mark, if you want to make a comment on Arizona, we'll go from there.
Well, first of all, why do you think it's over if he loses Arizona?
Because that would mean him losing Arizona again, a state that he should win, means he's probably going to lose. I don't know about Georgia, but he's probably going to lose Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and maybe Michigan too. So that's why. Same thing with Iowa. If Kamala wins Iowa, I don't think it's possible mathematically for Trump to win a state like Michigan or Pennsylvania.
Don't forget, the Republicans have a million voter registration advantage over Democrats in Arizona. So it might come down to independents. But go ahead.
All right, Nevada. So Nevada is a state I actually feel the most comfortable with Trump winning, and I think betting wise, I think it's a fair for Trump. But the unions, everyone there makes money off a thing called tips. Mark, what is Trump going to do? No tax on tips, and he was the original founder of that idea. So I think that's a no nonsense way why Trump wins Nevada right there.
I mean, they have the edge. They have the edge right now. There was more Republicans have voted than Democrats right now in Nevada. But speaking of Nevada, popular pollster out of Nevada, John Ralston, who has been posting early vote updates every day on X, and he's not been very positive because he's a Democrat. Somehow, some way, predicted that Kamala Harris is going to win Nevada by 0.3 percentage points. So take that for what it's worth.
And again, just piggybacking, if it's a high union state, so if a lot of union people are voting for Donald Trump in Nevada, then it only makes sense that a lot of union people might be voting for Trump in Michigan or somewhere like that. Just saying, something to put in. Let's do Wisconsin. So Wisconsin, we don't know because of how their primaries are and how they mail in their ballots. We don't know if it's Republicans or Democrats more mailing in their ballots. We can't really keep track, I don't think, of that. So this is just complete mystery, in my opinion. The numbers, I think, lean more towards Trump when you look at some of the polls. But this, I think, could be the closest state.
Say it's the closest. I'm not sure. It could be. But This is going to be close too, I think, in Wisconsin. Again, it depends on, a lot is going to depend on the urban turnout in a lot of these cities, Milwaukee, Detroit, Grand Rapids, a lot of these other places, not so much in Grand Rapids, but you know what I mean, some of the bigger cities in Michigan. Wisconsin's going to be tough. I would like to think Trump wins Wisconsin, but it's going to be close. It's going to be close, Joe. I'm not really sure which way that's going to go. I'd say it's a coin flip.
Okay. Now, the Muslim vote. We talk about what is it? Is it Deerfield, Michigan? All the Muslims coming out, Dearborn. All the Muslims coming out for Trump. Also, if the Muslims are coming out for Trump, is if he wins Dearborn, is that enough right there to win Michigan? How can they justify Kamala losing Dearborn and somehow winning Michigan? I don't think she would have the votes, right?
The other thing you have to think about with Michigan is these Muslims are not going to vote for either one of them. There's a large Muslim population in Michigan. Are they going to vote for Jill Stein? Are they not going to vote at all? So,
did you see her ads, Kamala's ads?
That's also possible.
So she has two different ads running. She has one's for Jews and one's for Arabs, depending on what state you're in. And if you're in a state like Michigan, it's all like pro-Gaza, pro-Harris, Hamas, and stuff like that. And if you're, I don't know what state is more Jewish, but it would be all pro-Jew ads. Yeah. And she also botched it. This is what I wanted to bring up about Michigan. She botched an interview with a Muslim influencer by celebrating bacon as a spice. You got to know better than that. You got to know better than that.
Joe, speaking of this, breaking while we're talking here, final Iowa poll by Insider Advantage 5 minutes ago. Trump, 52.4%. Kamala Harris, 45.6%. So that is the final poll out of Iowa from Insider Advantage. So that's a Trump lead by almost 7%.
Yeah, it's probably more than that then, too. All right, let's... North Carolina, I don't even want to cover because the only reason North Carolina I feel like is even considered a swing state is because a bunch of people couldn't vote after that superstorm that with no preparation from our government and then no help after, pretty much. So I think Trump has North Carolina in the bag. Honestly, what can I do live on air on Thursday if he loses North Carolina? We'll think of something. Don't worry. I'll do something to embarrass myself in front of the entire county if Trump loses North Carolina.
I would be shocked if he lost North Carolina.
Yes. Same thing with Georgia. I don't know what they have with signature verification, if they ever solve that problem or not too. Brad Raffensperger, whatever his name is, Raffensperger. I don't trust him. But Georgia is another state that can make me nervous just because of the tomfoolery that goes on along with there. And along with our next state, too, in a certain city in our next state that we'll get to. Mark, anything on Georgia before we move to our state, Pennsylvania?
Georgia just came out with a Supreme Court ruling, the state Supreme Court, saying they cannot count any votes after Election Day. So I think that votes that are coming in after Election Day, so all votes have to be obtained on Election Day.
Does Ruby Freeman know this?
That's good. Yes, so that's good news for Republicans. Let's talk about PA.
Philadelphia. That's all it is. Philadelphia, if the cheating is contained in Philadelphia, and I say it, I'm being serious when I say the cheating. If enough dead people don't vote, you see the returns and everything. I think Trump had a 600,000 to 800,000 vote lead on election night and lost that over the next 3 days. What is his lead? What is the Democrats' lead now? Like nothing. Nothing going into early voting. So how are they going to tell us that in Pennsylvania, the Democrats won or kept it close on election day? That's what they're going to have to try, I think, right?
Yes, this is from Bannon's War Room on X earlier today. Again, in 2020, 1.6 million Democrats versus 547,000 Republicans. And that was over a 1 million person gap. This year, the gap is 372,000 in favor of the Democrats. Joe Biden won PA by 80,000 votes. So unless the Republicans cannibalized most of their vote by voting by mail or early vote in person, I don't know how the math is there for her in PA. I just don't see it. I mean, you're talking a difference of 700,000 in a state that was won by 80,000. I don't know. I mean, again, I would rather be Trump right now. This is very good data coming out of PA.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm excited. I'm not nervous. I'm not worried. I just want it to happen. I'm counting down the minutes, man. All right. Before we take a break, we got to cover what happens. Ryan, we'll ask you. You're an educated man. Do you know what happens if there's a tie, 269 in this electoral college for this election?
Wow, I've never even thought of that. No.
Okay, so it's very possible if Trump would hold out in Nebraska and win Nebraska, all the districts in Nebraska, win the one district in Maine. Let me look at my actual, I have it written down here. Yeah, Trump would have to win Arizona, Nevada, that one district in Nebraska, win one district in Maine, and then he needs to win North Carolina, Georgia, and then he could lose PA, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And it would be 269 to 269. What happens then? Well, there is a clause in the 12th Amendment that dictates what to do if there is a tie in the Electoral College. The House of Representatives technically selects the president. And it's the House that's in right now, not the House that's about to be voted in this fall. So whatever House is in right now, this Congress. Each state delegation in the House gets one vote to choose the president. So you need a majority of the delegates in that state to agree on a candidate. The first candidate to 26 states wins. And this favors Trump because, think about it, most states are Republican, and they only need 26. You get 26 Republican states. But here's where things get crazy, Ryan and Mark, and anyone who's listening. The Senate, they pick the vice president. Currently, the Senate is run by Democrats, I think with a 3-vote majority, so you would think they'd pick Kamala, right? Keep in mind, this all has to happen before January 20th, 2025, and if it doesn't, guess who's the president, Ryan? The Speaker of the House is the acting president until this gets resolved. Talk about a constitutional crisis. I'm worried, I don't know how, because with Trump leading this, I'm worried this could happen. It's the best odds it's ever had in probably 100 years of it being a tie. Mark, what are your thoughts on this? And then I think we have to move to a break.
Are we giving predictions, or are we doing that later in the episode? Predictions?
We'll give them later in the episode.
Okay.
Do you want to pick it? Do you want to predict a tie?
No, I don't want to predict the tie. All I want to say is if that happens, I mean, there is a chance of that happening. Let's not rule it out. If we're talking wargaming scenarios, let's talk about that. That could happen. Number one. Number two, Joe, can you imagine though if it's so close in the Electoral College that we're waiting on one state to finish tabulating votes. Say it's Nevada. Say it's PA. Say it's Arizona. And that state is going to put that person, whoever it may be, over the 270 mark. Can you imagine what that would be like, just sitting here waiting for this stuff to be tabulated? That would be a nightmare scenario. And again, don't want to rule it out. Very likely it could happen. So I heard watching Mark Hopperan's morning meetings, him and Sean Spicer and Daniel Tarantino. I've been watching them every day on YouTube, every morning at early in the morning. And I will say that Mark Hopperan gave some good advice. He said, prepare as if the candidate you support is going to lose. He's like, put yourself in that situation. Be prepared for your candidate to lose. And it's a hard getting there in that headspace, but you have to do it.
All right. We're going to make some predictions later on the episode, we promise, but we're going to have fun next segment. So next segment after the break, Project 2025. What are we going to bring back when we win tomorrow and take back the White House? I don't know. Stay tuned. You listen to Thinking Logic on 99.3 FM WBVP. Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gulla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gulla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product.
Hi, I'm Rob Matsey. It's been my honor to represent you in Harrisburg. Now, I know the last few years haven't been easy. Folks are working too hard for too little, and politicians just point fingers instead of solving problems. I stay focused on helping you, investing millions here to create good jobs and raise wages, leading the fight against big corporations to eliminate junk fees and fighting tax increases. And I'm looking after those who looked after us, lowering the cost of prescriptions and investigating mistreatment in nursing homes. I'm proud to be endorsed by organized labor, police and firefighters, Governor Shapiro, and folks from both parties. I've avoided the drama in Harrisburg and stayed focused on delivering for Beaver County. I'm Rob Matsey, and I'd be humbled to continue working for you.
Paid for by people from Matsey.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logic here, 99.3 FM WBVP. We're going to get into some Project 2025 plans. But first, what's the funniest thing that you've seen happen in the political realm the last 4 years? For me, it's how COVID just magically disappeared and no one cared or noticed or really tracked it anymore out of the complete blue. Then it kind of came back a month or two ago and whatever. I keep on thinking back to all the people that played the game. They went and put on a mask or 2 or 3, sat down in a chair, got the 2, 3, 4, 5 shots, whatever it was. For what? How do we beat COVID again? Whatever happened to the winter of severe illness and death that we were threatened with? Mark, I'm just going to read over a few things and we could just comment on them. So all the funny things that we've seen, Ryan, whoever, Joe Biden falling numerous times, the Chinese spy balloon that we were told wasn't a big deal at all and that we were actually the ones collecting information on the balloon, not the other way around. The pier that cost more than Heinz Field and washed away in a matter of weeks. Could you spitball, just fire away? What's some of the funniest things, Mark, you've seen?
Well, Joe, you're putting me on the spot here. You mean the last 4 years?
Yeah, the last 4 years.
Oh, man. You mentioned the pier. The pier's got to be top 3, right? $320 million for a pier that looked like it came down from the Bridgewater boat docks that just floated away in the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, that's got to be up there. How about Biden's debate with Trump? That's one of the first things that comes to mind. A little recency bias, but the last 4 years it's been something to witness, you have to admit.
I did kind of put you on the spot with that question because when I was writing this, I was like, wow, I feel like there's so much I can't remember because it's just so. I went back and I would just randomly click on an episode from like 70 episodes ago and what would come up be hilarious. So Joe Biden, remember we were told Joe Biden was absolutely fine with no health or mental restrictions. We were told John Fetterman is absolutely fine with no health or mental restrictions. Then he started penning bills from the psych ward at Walter Reed, which is a locked unit. Remember, he couldn't even have shoestrings or the strings on his hoodie. The cheap fakes, Mark. The cheap fakes and the lies by the White House press secretary. Karine Jean-Pierre, just the way she dresses sometimes is the funniest thing ever.
I was going to say, when she wore that gray pinstripe Beetlejuice suit, that's got to be up there. I mean, I don't want to say I'm going to miss Karine Jean-Pierre, but she has been the worst mouthpiece for an administration in the history of United States politics. So we'll see who the next press secretary is. If Trump wins, I'm hoping Alina Habba becomes press secretary.
Oh, that would be cool. You know me, I'm hoping for Vivek Ramaswamy, but he's too qualified. Yeah, he's definitely way too qualified for that.
Never.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I don't follow it as much as you guys do, but so I'm going to be kind of pretty recent actually on mine. It was during when Trump did debate Biden, And Biden went on one of his rambles, and Trump goes, I don't even know what he said. I don't even think he knows what he said. And with Joe's mouth, he was just he had hang mouth. He was just looking at him. It was one of my favorite funny moments.
Kamala's had some funny that she made. Play actually that Kamala chant audio for her, I think it was last night or this morning maybe. Just, this is how she talks. This is what we... This is unedited, Ryan. Ryan's looking at me like there's something wrong with the computer. It's skipping. The computer is skipping. What should I do? Okay, let's get into Project 2025. So this story, or this tweet by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is what got me. On January 20th, the Trump White House will advise the U.S. water systems to remove fluoride from public water. Fluoride is an industrial waste associated with arthritis, bone fractures, bone cancer, IQ loss, neurodevelopmental disorders, and thyroid disease. Okay. So, Project 2025. Ryan, do you know what Project 2025 is going to implement in this country? You've heard rumors. I have
yes.
it. I have it right here. Mark, chime in whenever you want. We got about 15 things before we have to, run through, and then we're going to go to a break. So under Project 2025, like RFK has just said, we are going to take the fluoride out of the drinking water. Fluoride, remember, Ryan, has the word flu in it. F-L-U, or the flus make you sick. Fluoride has to be the same. Fluoride gone from the water. Under Project 2025, we're bringing back the food pyramid, Ryan, and then we're going to turn it upside down. Fats and oils are going to be consumed in great quantity, but not seed oils, most of which will be banned. Meats and fish will fill the second row, Ryan, followed by fruits and vegetables, and then acceptable forms of grain. Are you excited yet?
I'm getting there.
Fat shaming will be decriminalized under Project 2025. We're bringing back fat shaming. This is going to help people, Ryan. This is going to help people in the long run. Did you graduate high school?
I did.
Okay, remember the presidential fitness test?
Absolutely.
They're coming back.
Oh.
Presidential fitness. Every single boy and girl will be fit in this country attending school. Mark, you're going to love this one. This one's for you, Mark. I couldn't believe this when I read it. Under Project 2025, the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones will be redone and reshot. The 2 seasons will air in between new seasons of House of the Dragon.
Well, they're already starting a Game of Thrones movie, apparently, is in the works from Warner Brothers. So
Really?
maybe.
Okay,
Maybe, yeah.
I'm excited. All right, under Project 2025, daylight saving time will be abolished. We're not going back. Anyway, I feel like that should be on every candidate's platform. All right. We are bringing back the silver dollar, except instead of having JFK on the front, it will have RFK shirtless.
Like it.
And speaking of topless, under Project 2025, porn will be banned, and all single men will be required to approach at least one woman per week in a social setting. Tax deductions will be available for dinner bills, jewelry, and prophylactics. Ryan, Project 2025 is looking good, brother.
It's getting better.
This is an interesting one. I didn't know we had this capability, this technology in our military. All white dudes for Harris members will be tracked down using the new state-of-the-art Gator. Ryan, are you familiar with Gator? How it works?
I've heard of it.
You'll like this one, Ryan. Under Project 2025, all women of childbearing age that classify as illegal immigrants will be placed in a raffle and distributed to single men that are Trump supporters.
Hey.
You get a free bride to be, right?
Right.
What do you get? Hey. 11, I think, if we're counting these. We're bringing back the old Pizza Hut designs and the arches at McDonald's. No more of these square, dumb buildings that make you feel depressed after you eat McDonald's, which also makes you feel depressed, kind of. We're bringing back designs. Gargoyles, maybe even on Pizza Hut. We might have gargoyles, cathedrals, that kind of Gothic. Mark, you might know the architecture, the term. That's what I want. Mark, you have kids. You dress them up in comfortable clothes. Under Project 2025, all clothes from now on will be made of silk, linen, or bamboo, and made in America. This is where things are starting to get a little bit crazy here. The top part of Michigan, it's going to become its own state. I mean, but If Michigan goes blue this election, we will make it an Oklahoma for illegals to teach these people a lesson in Michigan of how to vote. And finally, point number 14, under Project 2025, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, strictly because of their actions on election night 2020 with calling Arizona so early, they're going to be replaced with shows like this, ones that use Greek logic and don't have an agenda. Ryan, Mark, what do you think? Project 2025 is looking beautiful, isn't it?
It's looking good.
Mark, are we going to have problems doing
it? David. In the words of Patrick Bet David, Joe, the future looks bright.
Yes, it does. All right, before we go to a break, did you see this Peanut the Squirrel thing? Anyone seen the Peanut the Squirrel?
What's that about? I've heard it a million times, but I've yet to hear.
So this guy that the head of animal control will say, it's not animal control. He makes $220K a year. He runs the department, whatever. They must have got a tip that this guy who runs an animal sanctuary has an illegal squirrel. So they got a warrant. They broke into the house, they took the squirrel and a raccoon, and then they euthanized them by cutting their heads off because they thought they had rabies. And I looked it up. So rabies. How do you determine if an animal has rabies, Ryan? Do you know?
No, I don't.
You cut the head off the animal, thus killing it, unless you're a Biden voter or a Kamala voter, or you wait 10 days and quarantine it. Remember that because we did it with COVID. So would you cut the head of the animal off, or would you maybe just let it quarantine for 10 days to see if it had rabies? Anyway, talk about a gross overreach of government. The next time someone tells you the government can't do something like this, remind them of Peanut the Squirrel. It's going to be the next Harambe, Ryan. I'm telling you. It's going to be the next Harambe. You don't know what you've done. Mark, anything before we move on to the next segment, which is going to be predictions, I guess? I don't know.
Trump is having a rally at PPG Paints Arena right now, Joe. And I don't know if you heard the guest speaker tonight. Surprise guest announced earlier today, the one and only Megyn Kelly.
Nice. Ooh. Nice. All right. She's come a long way since her comments about Rosie O'Donnell in that first debate, which he owned, by the way. Talk about owning a room and the Uno reverse card. All right, we got to take a break, but when we return, we're going to give some predictions on what could happen on election night, I guess, and after. Stay tuned. You're listening to Think Logic on 99.3 FM WBVP.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
Your home for everything in Beaver County. 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, coming to you live from the all-new Fry Transportation Studios.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Think Logic here, 99.3 FM, WBVP, the bonus edition here. Remember, Election Day is tomorrow. It's not over yet. I don't care what anyone is saying. We need to show up tomorrow. Bring someone. Don't go by yourself. Bring a friend. We need to win, and we need to win big. We need to prove that Trump has the consent of the people and give him, as Napoleon would call it, a granite readout. All right, Mark, let's go over some things that we're probably going to see happen. Do you want to do after Election Day, or we'll throw them all in. We'll just do some predictions. I'm going to read a few off. You can read a few off. We'll go 1 for 1 here, 2 for 2. So things that we can see happen after Election Day. Let's not lie. They're going to unleash violence. Some of this is going to be blamed on Trump supporters, when once again, it's not really Trump supporters. So remember that whenever you go out to protest. Remember what happened January 20th, or January 6th, I'm sorry. be careful what you do after Election Day. They will use you for a story in the news. Mark?
Yeah. Well, apparently they are starting to board up businesses in Washington, D.C. I've seen some pictures of fences being erected around some of the buildings there. So sounds like to me they're doing that. They're preparing for a Trump victory because we know the mob Antifa left will probably riot if Trump wins. But that's what that tells me. So we'll see. In 2020, the Supreme Court ruled 7-2 against Trump and said he had no standing when questioning the results of the election. Was there something else to that, Joe?
Well, okay, just remember that because best believe the Supreme Court's going to be involved in this election aftermath. Remember, the Supreme Court ruled 7-2 against Trump and said that he had no standing when he was questioning the results of an election. That's all. Just remember that. Remember.
Yeah.
Trump
is going to win the election.
Yes, so he's going to win the election. And if they aren't able to kill him between November and January, they're going to use January 6th to try to steal the election via refusal to certify. I don't know how. They'll find a way. They'll find a way. Marky, I don't know if he's still there or not. Anyway, you got to remember, guys, they've been trying to paint MAGA as violent since Jussie Smollett. So why do you believe January 6th was a violent attempt to overthrow the government by Trump supporters? All they wanted to do that day was sit there and hear the evidence presented in front of them in the Congress. That never happened because a bunch of people jumped in and decided, hey, we're going to go waltz around the Capitol, even though these magnetic doors should be locked. How many of them were federal agents, informants, confidential informants? I have no idea. Our government won't let us know. Remember, they want a reaction out of Trump supporters. Don't give them one. Expect them to complain, especially if Kamala wins the popular vote. They're going to complain about this electoral college. They're going to want to divide. They're going to want to get rid of it. They're going to want to say the candidate with the least amount of votes won again. But I want to remind everyone, the electoral college benefits the minority. Think about it. You can win with less than 50%. It's meant to protect minorities. If the Democrats claim they want to, but for some reason are obsessed with ending the electoral college, it helps minorities. Why would they want to do that? They want mob rule. That's what they really want. They want 50% is you could do whatever you want as long as you have 50% plus one. How do minorities usually fare in those kinds of systems? All right. Ryan, we're going to try to find Mark. While we're waiting. Oh, you're here? Okay. I couldn't hear you for a second. While you're here, did you see the former Gambino crime boss, Sammy the Bull? He said...
Yes, Sammy the Bull Gravano endorsed Donald Trump. I'm
going to call him a gangster. We need a gangster. We can go with a few more predictions here, Mark. I'm trying to... I must have deleted mine right here. I lost all the things I wrote down. I will make this last one, and then I'll shift it to you. You could say whatever you want. Trump's going to win a blue state. No one thought was in play. I'm telling you right now, that is my bold prediction. He will win a blue state like that no one thought was in play, like Joe Biden won Arizona and was shocked. It even said how shocked he was when giving his, I don't want to call it an acceptance speech, his speech on election night. Mark?
I'm going to say, for the sake of just being different here, I think Trump's going to win. I don't know what the electoral count will be, but I'm going to say if he does lose, which I do think there's a chance, it's going to be a continuation of the Roe versus Wade overturn, and the polling myth could come from pollsters not taking into account women and their desire and motivation and their enthusiasm to vote for Democrats after Roe versus Wade has been overturned. So that's my biggest fear going into tomorrow, Joe. I know that we're going to show up to vote. The math is in our favor. The data is in our favor. I'd rather be Trump than Kamala right now. But there is a polling miss. I'm worried that it's going to be the fact that women are motivated to vote for Democrats. What do you think?
I mean, I agree. This is such a crazy election to try to poll predict whatever. Honestly, I blame a lot of it on the fake news coming out because you don't know what to believe. You watch it from our perspective, you see something completely different than if you watch just CNN or just MSNBC or just Fox News, to be honest with you. I don't know. This is a crazy election, and this is one that will be taught in classes and at universities for decades, maybe centuries to come.
Yeah. I mean, this is truly the election of a lifetime.
We say that every 4 years, but it is because it's like it's multiplying. It's double the what's at stake is just doubled every time.
I agree.
Another bold prediction. I say when Trump wins, expect 6 weeks to 6 months of hell on earth, especially if it's a landslide. I'm telling you, they are not. If you think they're going to let him just waltz into the White House and do whatever he wants to do, you haven't been paying attention the last 8 years.
Yeah. Well, I also think there's a part of me that thinks that, not to sound conspiratorial, but they're just not going to let him win tomorrow. Even if he does have the vote. So I don't know what that looks like, but there's a small part of me that thinks that could also come into play. Kamala Harris has failed upwards, Joe, in every single facet of her life from the beginning of her career. She has not been popular wherever she's been. She has failed upwards. She has no credentials. Just look at her. No one likes her. And yet she has failed upwards from Attorney General of California to United States Senator to Vice President and now being basically installed as the nominee for president, Joe. And that's what I'm worried about, that she's going to become president of the United States and she gets sworn in on January 20th. I hope I'm wrong.
Trump put us in the room, the American citizen in the room with everything he was doing. We were in the room via his social media, via what he would say after. We don't know anything that's going on in this country anymore. We're told one thing, we see another. And it's been going on for 4 years. And before that, it happened for a long time. Again, we said it all. If you think the news is fake, wait till you find out how fake everything else is. All right, another prediction. You're going to hear, I feel like we're going to replay this and be like, wow, you're going to hear the term 14th Amendment over, your head will explode over and over again by the weekend. That's all I'm going to say. The 14th Amendment will be the new, he's a Nazi.
I agree.
And the last thing I'm going to say, Mark, and then I'll shift it to you. If the Democrats try to claim there's cheating or irregularities, which they are, then I'm going to say ahead of time, we should make a rule where if you're going to look at 2024, you got to look at 2022. I don't know if we still can because the results could be lost by now. But if you're going to look at one, you should look at both. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, it's going to get interesting. Like you said, I think the time from election, maybe the end of this week, I feel like this is like the time right before COVID hit. Like once COVID came, everything changed. And for some reason, I just have this feeling that everything's about to change. Our worldview, everything after probably, maybe not tomorrow night, but maybe at the end of the week, everything's about to change. And like you said, I feel like from the time, if Trump does, if he is the winner, till January 6th, the certification day, it's just going to be completely chaotic, and they're going to throw everything they can at him. So the Supreme Court should probably get ready and start, warming up their chambers.
All right. Any other bold predictions you want to make? We're going to go to a commercial, but I want to play the Mike Lindell movie, The Dominionator 2 and 3, the sequel in the trilogy. Anything else you want to get off your chest before we do that? Take a break and then move into our final segment here before Election Day.
Just released. Elon Musk is on the Joe Rogan Show. It's out.
Nice. Second time he was on. The last time he was on, I think he smoked a giant blunt. Became very meme-worthy. All right, Ryan, Mike Lindell starred in that movie, Dominionator 2, and then we're going to play the trilogy, Dominionator 3. It's a great movie, guys. If you get a chance, check it out. Our favorite friend, Mike Lindell, Dominionator 2, Rise of the Machines.
Terminator, Brandon. Right. Remember that they beat the machines eventually. So what did the machines do? They took a time thing back to that way back then with that lady and the guy in the machines. I think her name was Connor. Remember that?
It's been over 3 years since the 2020 election, and the machines are winning.
I'm telling you where we're at, people, in this world, right now at this time in history. This is very important you hear me on this. Over 54 countries have now been taken by the machines or are getting taken by the machines. Venezuela, Australia, they're gone. It got to be where machines and computers took over, and robots and artificial intelligence, all this stuff. And the next day, it stopped it, but then machines through time sent people back, or sent a machine back, the Terminator, to kill the people that were the ones that said, hey, we have to get rid of the machines. We have to stop the machines.
Now this time, a new strategy must be tried.
If we don't get rid of them by the fall, all of them, we're going to have a trial of the machines. We're going to put the machines on trial? Absolutely. We're going to put them on trial.
I object to this witness being called at this time.
You are terminated.
It's a machine!
It appears our destiny was never to win on Election Day. It was merely to survive it.
Rid of these machines before we're gone forever, because if the lights go out here, they go out everywhere. The whole world is watching.
Coming in 2024, it's Dominionator 2, Election Day.
Override the machines, and we're going to get rid of them, eventually all of them. This is the best time to be alive, because did they succeed? No, of course there was a trilogy, blah, blah, blah.
In the year 2024, at the Walter Reed Medical Research Facility, a new weapon will be created. This weapon, unlike any before, will have no empathy, no thoughts, no personality, and no brainwaves. This weapon will be called the Fettermator.
Hi, good night, everybody.
Coming next spring, it's Dominionator 3, Transhumanist.
It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Okay, welcome back. It is closing time. The time for kissing babies, shaking hands, and pressing the flesh on the campaign trail has come to an end. It's time now to vote. Mark, we didn't talk about state politics at all. There are some good local candidates to vote for the state seats. Who are we voting for in the local elections for state House and state Senate?
Well, I'm out here in Allegheny County, so I voted for some different people. Valerie Gatos for House of Representatives, Devlin Robinson for state Senate. But in Beaver County, you're looking at Roman Kozak. He's going to represent the people of his district extremely well. Mike Parrish running against longtime incumbent Rob Massey. That's supposed to be a close race. And Josh Kell, I mean, if the Republicans take the House of Representatives here in Pennsylvania in the state, I'm hearing Josh Kell will be the House Majority Leader. So let's get Josh to be House Majority Leader. That would be maybe a first for Beaver County politics. Rob Mercuri going up against Chris DeLuzio. That's going to be, I don't know how close that race is going to be. I hope Rob pulls it out, obviously, but seems like DeLuzio might be in a safe seat. But, you never know with the Trump effect. I mean, what are down ballot races going to look like? Can Trump pull other Republicans across the finish line with him? Now, we know that when Trump runs, turnout is extremely high. So I think Republicans are going to be in a good position tomorrow down the ballot. And I think the other one, that's going to be extremely close. And, boy, I hope he pulls it out is Dave McCormick. I hope he beats Bob Casey for U.S. Senate in the worst way possible. Bob Casey has done nothing for the people of Pennsylvania. He just runs on his name and continues to win. So he needs to go, and Dave McCormick needs to be sent to Washington, D.C. to represent us with John Fetterman.
John Fetterman, we got another 4 years of him. All right. I voted for Josh Kell. He's my state representative. But Roman Kozak, another guy, great person you should vote for just on intelligence alone, and Mike Parrish. I actually be volunteering in Adequipa at the polling location for Mike Parrish. We've both known him and his family for a long time. He's a great person, and I think he would make a great state representative.
Yeah, I'll be working the polls for Roman in economy.
All right. What do we got? We got about 4 minutes here, Mark. There's only so much that can be said. I feel like we've said it all. One more thing I want to get off the chest. When this administration says that Trump lost 18 million jobs under his watch, remember, just like everything else you've heard, it's a lie. And you should know that because you lived it. You experienced it. Trump didn't lose 18 million jobs. What happened was in 2020, against the advice of us, conspiracy theorists, Dr. Fauci and all the other top doctors and experts in the country one day came out and said it's no longer safe to work, and they sent everyone home. So what did half of our workforce do for nearly a year? They stayed at home and collected unemployment. You got a $600 check, too, to boot. Then the same administration who's telling you that Trump lost 18 million jobs leaned on you like a mob boss to get you to take an experimental gene-altering vaccine. Be ashamed if you lost your job. Again, the same people, my body, my choice. It's all lies. And it's been all lies the past 4 years. And it's going to continue on. I got one more closing thing. Mark, anything you want to say? And then I'm going to give it to, actually, Ryan, I'll give it to you first. Anything you want to come out and say? We got 3 minutes left here.
No, I'm excited to watch how this all plays out. Of course, we got both candidates in town tonight. See what Trump has to say this evening. Vote tomorrow, and then I can't wait till Thursday to come back, see what you guys got to say about everything.
If we're still here, we might be rounded up and gone already. I mean, it could be it. Yeah. I could be calling this from a half hour from the Beaver County Department of Corrections.
It's true.
All right, Mark, take your time. You got like 2 or 3 minutes.
Joe, we've been doing this for 2.5 years. It's been an absolute joy and pleasure to do this with you, be on this journey with you. Be on this journey with President Trump. I did not vote for President Trump in 2016, but in 2020, you opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I came around, and now I'm dark MAGA and voted for President Trump in 2020, and I've been on this train and on this journey with all of the MAGA supporters, and we just want to make America great again. That's all we want. We want America first. And tomorrow's the election of a lifetime, Joe. And where we go after this, we're going to find out very quickly. But I'll end it with this, Joe. I'm a Latin Mass Catholic. It's at the Latin Mass Sunday. So I want to end it with this. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray, and do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen.
Amen. All right. In closing, guys, everyone's talking about this could be our last election, our country, our democracy, everything's at stake. I looked this up. The average shelf life of a country's constitution is only about 20 or 30 years. Just the average around the world. Ours has lasted for 250 years. Now, I'm not suggesting it's about to reach the end of its life or its term. I'm suggesting that it was written correctly to last this long. However, one party wants to change numerous things on that piece of paper. And at the end of the day, remember, it's just a piece of paper, but it comes down to the people the people, we give our government the consent to be governed. We get to pick. We get to decide. So get out there and vote tomorrow like your life depends on it, because it does. I'm Joe Corsai, and thanks for listening to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM. Let's bring this home.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff.